gentlemen, you are listening to the Giants Guys podcast, dedicated to New York Giants football. Hello, Craig. How are you today?
Hey, John, what's happening?
Nada.
Well, there's more than nada. We got NFL playoffs.
Yes, we do, and we have a lot of draft talk.
We got nonstop Dwayne Haskins chatter that's choking me. We have that.
Yes, we do. We'll talk about him.
We got field goal kickers getting death threats.
Yes, like Bartman.
Yep.
That's terrible.
Let's see. What else do we have? We have another week of Eagles and Cowboys, which is absolutely terrible.
Come on. I mean, you got to root against teams, right? If you root for teams, you can root against them.
Oh, fair enough. But it's hard when the Eagles are playing the Cowboys. You know, that's like getting my arms torn off by a shark. I mean,
Well, let's hope it doesn't come down to them playing each other, because that wouldn't be good. That would be the NFC Championship game.
Oh, because I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you now, I already know who I'd root for. And that would be the Cowboys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. One is the Eagles have already won a Super Bowl. I cannot stomach them winning another Super Bowl. Okay, like they're already obnoxious. Another Super Bowl would literally drive me off the Ben Franklin Bridge.
Back to back, no less.
Yes, which would be like, I don't know, when outside the Patriots, who the last repeat
That was
team.
the last one, 03 and 04, I believe.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to stomach that and the whole Foles magic, and I wouldn't be able to handle it. Like I said, I would drive my truck right off the Ben Franklin Bridge. And the Cowboys, to me, will just choke. Like, even if they went to the Super Bowl, they're never winning the Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. And they're just not doing it. So for me, the Eagles get hot. They get that Eagles magic going. They could roll right on through because, it's happened before and they've got that, that playoff magic going. So I'd have to root for the Cowboys. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Now, if we just recorded that and took that blurb out of context and just played it as your ringback tone.
Oh, yeah, I'd be getting pretty toasted right now. Listen, people, this is the Giants, guys, and I hate the Cowboys as much as the Eagles. But so you know, I'm very close to Philadelphia, and I don't think I could do another year with an Eagles Super Bowl.
No. And we'll talk about last week's games and this week's games coming up, because I have a few thoughts. Every once in a while, I have a couple of thoughts.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I know a lot of people out there are looking for Giants content. There's not a lot to tell you about, folks. This is sort of the dry season.
It's been the dry season since 2012.
Yeah, it's been like a desert, the Gobi Desert. February 4th is probably the next important date on the calendar, because that's the day they could start using or slapping the franchise tag on players.
Yep.
And Landon Collins, if they can't get a deal done with him, they might. Well, what they could do is they could designate him, and then I think in March they actually have to tag him. But they have a whole month there where they could work out a contract with him, and I hope they do. Because that would be great, because I'd like to keep him. You don't have a lot of stars and playmakers on defense. Matter of fact, you don't really have any.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. Which one? There is? If there's one there, tell me who it is, please.
Yeah, they have a couple of guys who are okay. Ogletree is okay. Janoris Jenkins is okay. They have their ups and downs. And then, of course, you got some of the younger guys still unproven, but Collins is the real glue to that defense. And what I would like to see is them try to get him to play a little bit more like a linebacker, that money backer that we talked about.
Yep.
And get themselves two safeties.
Oh, you want to go double safety?
Yeah, I would like to get 2 other guys that can play safety. One a free safety because you don't have one at all.
Oh my God, no.
So everyone says, "Well, what are you going to do with the first pick?" Get somebody who could play football. I don't care what position because they need them all. Just get
Yeah,
the
that sounds.
best guy you could get. Oh, we need a quarterback. Yeah, do we? Really?
Well, let's talk about that
Yeah,
because the Giants are going to draft with the 6th pick, right?
Yep.
Traditionally, as we've spoken numerous times, in order, three most important positions are your quarterback, your defensive end or / pass rush, and your left tackle. Would you agree with that?
Yes, of course.
So, you've got 3 franchises at the top of the draft that don't need quarterbacks. So your number 1 and number 2 players, which is Bosa and Allen, could potentially be off the board by then. So you kind of like have to ask yourself, do you draft this kid? Jonah Williams? The tackle,
Right.
or do you move up to get Bosa or Allen? The 6th pick's a little bit funny because you can't afford to reach at number 6.
Yeah, you're not quite in the driver's seat, and you're way up to start drafting guys you can trade down and get. So you don't want to just take a guy because, I couldn't make a deal, so I'm going to take a guy I could have got at number 25. No, you don't do that.
Now,
right?
It's a sticky spot.
What you do is you sit there and you wait. If your phone rings, somebody wants to move up. If you're not in love with anybody in particular, and you're looking to accumulate, and they will, according to sources, these guys who follow the compensatory draft process, they could get 2 compensatory picks, 1 4th and 1 5th. That'll give them 11 picks in this draft. They have 9 right now. They could end up having 11. And those picks will come because they lost Justin Pugh and Devin Kennard in free agency.
So does it make sense to either to do one of 2 things? Is A, use those picks and have 11 players and kind of bring back the numbers, the bodies, or do you wrap those picks up and offer them to someone to move up the board?
Well,
back down. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Down the board or up the board. Like, do you package them up so you can move somewhere else?
Well, it all depends on what you're looking for in a draft. If you look at the talent that's in this draft, it's all defense. If you look at the talent that's in free agency, it's all defense. So offensive players are going to be at a premium. There's not a lot of quarterbacks. There's not a lot of great wide receivers. And believe me, they need wide receivers. A lot of people say they don't. I think they want to bring in 2.
But it's still not the number 1 priority, as we know.
No, but I think they'll end up drafting one along the way. You have to.
So then let's talk about I think the word you like to coin is the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Yes.
Do they draft a quarterback is basically the question. And as if you look at any social media or, you're listening to the talking heads on TV, because Herbert decided to go back to Oregon, everyone automatically now has it was, I think the hashtag was suck for the duck. Everybody, everybody wanted the Giants to tank so they can get Herbert. And the minute he said he was going back to school, automatically Dwayne Haskins has become the next man up. But for whatever reason, and I can't quite figure it out, is he's evidently the next Dan Marino.
I wouldn't say that at all.
Of course, you and I wouldn't say that because the Giants guys are rational. But the rest of the fan base out there is going bonkers for this guy. And I'm getting choked out by it because,
because they don't know, they don't understand what else is out there.
not only that, but I'm just, even if you don't do any research, even if you don't look at trends, if you don't look at history, if you purely blindly ignore everything that's happened in the NFL for the last 89 years, what doesn't change in any arena or any job or career is the guy with the least amount of experience doesn't get the highest paying job, because those high paying jobs or those jobs of importance need experience. And for this guy to have 14 starts, they want to give him carte blanche, the keys to the New York Giants, and I don't see it. And they're getting into stats about how many snaps he's taken, how his completion percentage. He's played 1 year. At least if he had played 2 years, the maturity, or the maturation process would be so much more complete. You'd be basically building a better quarterback. How did he handle players in the huddle? How did he handle people in the locker room? It's not about his arm strength or how he sees the field. I just want to know if he's had the ups and downs that comes with experience, and he hasn't.
He's played at Ohio State, like we said. They don't really have a great track record. Neither does Urban Meyer when it comes to quarterbacks. They said he breaks the mold. Haskins breaks the mold of all of that. Well, I don't know about that. And I'm looking at all the young quarterbacks that came up the last couple of years, and there's only one guy that has lived up to his billing, and that's Andrew Luck.
I was going to say, let me guess, because that would have been my pick too, Andrew Luck.
He's the only guy who's really kept the pedigree. Everyone else has been up and down. Mariota's been horrible.
Winston, yep.
Winston's erratic. I mean, these guys have been in the league a couple of years now. They haven't shown you anything.
Nope.
The 4 guys that were drafted last year, Allen has this great arm. He ends up being a runner.
Yeah.
His first year. All he did was run.
And I just don't think it's smart for the Giants to draft a quarterback with number 6 when it's a little bit of a reach, because
it's a big reach.
You don't know what you're going to get. And listen, the kid can ball. There is no doubt that the kid can ball. He's from New Jersey. He's already come out saying he wants to be a Giant. I don't know if I like that or I don't. I know fans love to hear that. It gets them fired up.
But have they watched him play?
Yeah, I'm sure there are people who haven't, and I'm sure there are people who have. But I still come back to the fact that next year's draft, and I'm not trying – this is not being pro-Eli because I don't really care. But if Haskins is going to get drafted and sit on the bench, well, I'm sorry, folks. This is just a fact in today's football, is that the NFL doesn't groom quarterbacks. They get groomed in college. That's why they start when they're freshmen and they're sophomores. They get groomed in college. They mature in college, how to handle players, how to read a defense, how to learn a playbook. Because of the pressure to win in the NFL, they draft a quarterback. You sit on the bench for 7 to 10 games, and then the keys are yours, and you go. And you've got to be ready to perform. And over the last 4 or 5 years, these quarterbacks are starting. And if he's going to sit all year behind Eli, then why not draft a more quality quarterback that's well-rounded, like Fromm or who else is sitting there from next year? What's the guy?
Herbert will be there.
Herbert or Fromm. I mean, I would have loved Haskins to stay in school another year, because I really do think the kid's going to be a good quarterback. I just don't see it being beneficial to the Giants by him sitting on the bench. What's he learning? I mean, he's not getting any game experience. So if we're going to make him sit for a year, why not draft a more stocked draft class next year?
No, I agree. And I don't like what a lot of people do when it comes to the draft. They don't know the entire field of prospects. So they hear a hot name. Oh, we got to get that guy. Well, the Raiders did that with Jamarcus Russell. And how did that work out?
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't
put him in the Jamarcus Russell class, but when Jamarcus Russell was picked, everyone said, well, that's not a bad pick. And some people poo-pooed it and other people liked it. But, you just don't draft at a need like that. It's got to be the right guy. There's too many good players in this draft at positions the Giants could use that could hit the ground running right away than to just reach and take a quarterback that you don't know if he's going to make it or not, and you're not going to let him play right away.
Yeah, I'm. And again, I really do like the kid. You know what I mean? I know that Ohio and Florida, in regards to Urban Meyer, have not, turned out great QB products. So I get that, and I'll also be on the other side and say, his numbers are great, but it's still only 1 year and 13 starts. I mean, Mark Sanchez, Akili Smith, they were all one-hit wonders. Do we really want to grab a guy we're rolling the dice on? Now, again, I'll reiterate it for any listener out there. I like Haskins. He can ball. If he stayed in school another year, he'd be a great prospect. I just don't like the lack of experience right now because he's not going to be better than Eli. Like, even if Eli's, average, he's still not going to be better than Eli. Experience wins in this league.
Yeah, the Eli situation, you still have him under contract. You have to work something out there. I wrote an article in USA Today for the Giants Wire basically saying just keep him as is and let him play out his contract.
You don't want them to go for Foles?
If they could, I don't know if they're going to be able to. There's a rumbling now, depending on how well Foles does here, and he's already done pretty well. Right, got him to the playoffs, won a playoff game already. Not to mention last year's performance.
Yep.
The fact that they can keep him
and trade Wentz
and get rid of the other guy.
Dang. That would definitely set the NFL on fire.
That has Denver written all over it. You know that. If Wentz, yeah, of course, he would love to have him. Love to have him.
And look, Wentz is the real deal. He just has to stay healthy.
Well, that's the key. I mean, 2 years in a row, he's watching.
Yep.
And you're ready to win. So that's not good. You're lucky you had Foles.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the way to league MVP 2 years ago.
That's right. He was. And I thought he would have gotten it, but, he got hurt doing, what he shouldn't have been doing, running the ball and diving head first.
Well, yeah, at that point, it's really...
He hurt his knee, actually, but he didn't go down. He was trying to score a touchdown.
Hindsight's 20/20, right? But,
yeah.
But then again, they rushed him back a little early this year, and that might have contributed to more injury.
Now he has a cracked bone in his back.
Think about it, though.
Yeah.
When's the last time a quarterback with an ACL, MCL injury come back in, 9 months?
Yeah, that's quick.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
Yeah. Let's see what the Eagles do. This week they got to go to New Orleans. That doesn't look too promising. Even though the Saints have tailed off the last couple of weeks. They're still playing at home, and they're practically unbeatable there. So we'll see. But if they decide to keep Foles and trade Wentz, do the Giants get involved in that trade? Will they even consider trading him to the Giants?
I would say, one, yes, you get involved 100%, but I don't see that ever happening. The Giants trading Wentz the Eagles trading Wentz to the Giants. No shot. Maybe if there was a three-way trade, but just no shot they're trading in a guy like Wentz inside.
And I don't even know what you give up for him. Jody McDonald, who does radio in both Philly and New York, suggested a couple of weeks ago that the Giants could trade Saquon Barkley and a number 1 pick to the Eagles for Wentz. And I said, what are you, nuts?
I know, seriously.
I wouldn't trade Barkley for Wentz. I wouldn't trade Barkley to the Eagles. I wouldn't trade Barkley, period.
You'd never win again.
Nobody would ever go to a game again.
Seriously, that would. I don't know if those things are just ratings, grabbers. So you say something so everybody goes nuts, but that is not happening.
Well, he was just saying, what do the Giants have that the Eagles would want?
Nothing. They don't trade. When's the last time someone's traded inside the division?
I don't recall. A trade? No. Somebody being cut and picked up, or picking up another team's free agent? Yes.
Yeah, that's happened. But can you imagine a blockbuster trade inside the division? It doesn't even make ethical or business sense.
No. I don't see how it would work. It's just a lot of, like you said, banter for the radio. But the Eagles are going to end up making a move here. I don't think they're just going to let Foles opt out and walk away.
You don't?
No, there's too much capital there. You still have capital. So
man, they don't have a lot of options.
So I think they're going to try to do something. And who knows? A team like Denver could get involved because they're looking for a quarterback.
Yep.
And Elway is very aggressive, as we know. When it came to Herbert, he was there for most of the games, scouting him. So, he didn't have a pick high enough to take this kid. But he was going to try to get to number 1 to take him. Or number 2. He was going to do whatever it took to get him. So, teams like that have that mentality. I think the Giants were thinking that way too.
So, wait, let me ask you a question. You just kind of sparked an idea here. Who's the quarterback in Denver?
Case Keenum.
Okay, who comes from?
Where does he come from?
What team what was his last pro team?
Oh, he was with the Vikings.
Who was the offensive coordinator?
Well, with Shermer, yeah.
So now we're talking. Now we're talking a 3-way deal where Wentz goes to Denver and Keenum comes back to the Giants. Now, if you want to talk
but what did the Giants give up?
Well, I haven't gotten that far. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that if you want to talk conspiracy, that has way more legs than the Eagles trading Wentz to the Giants.
Right, a direct trade between the two teams. I get it. That's insane, though. You're right. It wouldn't happen. It would be worlds colliding.
You mean the interdivision one?
Yeah, I can't do it.
But I could see the Giants coming up with a way to, trade with the Vikings. I mean, not Vikings. What's wrong with me? The Broncos. I could see something like that happening.
Yeah.
Giants draft a lineman and trade him Hernandez.
Oh, no.
I didn't say I wanted to. I'm saying that what would be good trade bait?
I don't know. I really don't know. I didn't hear what Jody McDonald. I read about it. I didn't hear exactly what was going on, or what people said on the calls when they called in. I'm sure there was a lot of irate people. To me, if you want me to take Wentz, a guy who's injured, and you want Barkley, you're not getting a number 1 along with it.
I don't even know why anybody would even bring that up. I said that sounds like something that Jody's producer made him say. You know what I mean? Like
I don't understand it either. But you're on a Saturday afternoon. Who's listening to the radio? People with no life.
Well, sometimes you're in the car and you're going somewhere.
That's true. If you're in the car, yeah, you're in transit. But I remember I wrote an article about this a couple of weeks ago. 1974. Now I don't know how old you were, but you probably
5.
don't remember it. Yeah.
5.
Okay. The Giants traded their number 1 pick, their first-round pick in 1975, to the Cowboys for Craig Morton, the quarterback.
Oh.
And they were playing in the Yale Bowl that year. And Morton came halfway through the season, and then he took over. And what happened was he was just beat to death. The next 2 seasons, the next 2.5 seasons, the guy was just tortured.
My dad hated him.
Well, he wasn't good. First of all, he was decent with the Cowboys. He lost the power struggle with Roger Staubach, and Landry traded him to the Giants. And I guess he felt he wouldn't come back to hurt him, and he was right. Plus, the number one pick the Giants gave to the Cowboys ended up being Randy White in 1975. So
that worked out.
If you want to talk about insult to injury, not only did you give us a quarterback who didn't help us, we traded you a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, right.
And the Giants were just garbage, basement dwellers for the next 5 years after that. And of course, they trade Morton to the Broncos after the 76 season, and he becomes NFL Comeback Player of the Year and takes the Broncos to the Super Bowl. Right? The Orange Crush.
Yep. I mean, I don't see it happening.
And they lose the Super Bowl to the Cowboys.
Yeah, things come full circle, don't they?
It's crazy, yeah.
Well, I mean, big picture is 6 is a little awkward of a spot. The Eagles do have to do something, and they're going to have to make a hard choice. The Giants are going to have to make a hard choice what they're going to do. I just don't think, everyone should just be rushing to draft Haskins, on 13 games.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm looking at draftsite.com right now. Okay, I'm on the internet. I'm looking at draftsite.com. It's a pretty good site. They update it quite often with their mock drafts. They have the Giants down here for 9 picks. Like we said, they'll probably get another 4th and another 5th. Okay, so now they'll give them 3 fourths. They'll have 1 first rounder, 1 second rounder. They forfeited the 3rd rounder for Sam Beal in the supplemental. So your draft has already got 1 player in, Sam Beal.
Yep.
He's got a year in the facility under his belt because he injured his shoulder and he couldn't play this year. That's a shame. I wish he would have gotten some game time this year, but you can't have everything. So they have 2 fourths, 2 fifths, a 6th, and 2 sevenths. So throw in another 4th and 5th, you got 11 picks there. Now they fill out the grid of who they think the Giants will take. I mean, this is January.
What? John, read me the site again.
Draft site. It's draftsite.com. Draftsite.com.
Okay, draftsite.com. You owe us some money.
Yes, you do. Round 1, pick 6, Dwayne Haskins. They have already for the Giants. All right. So they're predicting the Giants will not pass on a quarterback this year because of all the heat they took. But that's not why you get paid the big bucks to be a GM. You should be able to take the heat. If there is a player there, okay, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman, a playmaker in the back 7, you got to take him. Okay? Haskins, like you said, is a gamble. All right, now I like the rest of this draft. I like the way they're thinking. Round 2, kid that we saw the other night, Clemson defensive end, Austin Bryant. Good player. Right, 6'5", 265. Anybody out of Clemson, I like. Even B.J. Goodson. He's starting to grow on me, even though he's been inconsistent and hurt a lot. 3rd round, I said they forfeited. Now in the 4th round, from Northwestern State, a wide receiver by the name of Jazz Ferguson. 6'4", 225. I don't know anything about this kid. So we got to look him up the next couple of weeks. Then the next couple of guys I know.
Why is there an asterisk next to his Jazz Ferguson's name?
He's a junior.
Okay.
1 asterisk is junior, 2 asterisks is a sophomore. And 3 is a freshman, but I don't see how they can get drafted if you're a freshman. You're a redshirt freshman, maybe. I don't know. Now, this kid, T.J. Edwards, inside linebacker, Wisconsin, I know. I've seen him play. As I've seen Brian Coward, a defensive end of Maryland. He's not very big, but he's a pass rusher. Defensive tackle Greg Gaines in the 5th round also out of Washington. 6'1", 320. Then an Auburn wide receiver, Darius Slayton. 6'1", 190. Joanne Williams, a cornerback out of Vanderbilt. And Kendall Blanton, tight end, 6'6", 260 out of Missouri. Now, why would they want a tight end? Hey, why not?
Yeah,
it's the seventh round.
Yep, exactly.
So if they draft that, I don't know where that leaves them, but they've got some good young talent there on the lines. The only thing they didn't draft, he doesn't have is an offensive lineman.
Yep, exactly. I was just about to say that. You read my mind because I'm like, they need a tackle, potentially a center. I can't see why. We've got 11 picks and one of them can't be a.
Well, this is only the 9-pick one. So personally, I always say this, and a lot of scouts that I've talked to over the years, you don't take a guy that's not going to make your team just because he plays a certain position. If the guy's not going to make your team, why take him? He has a chance to make it. Well, no, you're not going to waste a pick on a guy who has a chance. Sign him as an undrafted free agent after the draft. That's what that's for. Don't waste a draft pick on a guy you don't think can make your roster.
Well, I'm a little confused by that, because I'm also on the site. I went to round 2 because those are I'm always interested in round 2 and round 3 and round 4 because I think it's a little bit easy in round 1 because everybody's analyzing these players. Sometimes these guys fall in your lap, and I think you get paid the big bucks for those middle rounds, right?
Yeah. That's where you get your depth.
Exactly. And they become your long-term players, your David Deals of the world, right?
It just so happens when you watch a team like the Seahawks, every guy in their defense is like a third or fourth rounder. Like, how many picks did they have?
Yeah. And actually, I was writing something on NY Giants Rush about that you find like teams like the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Seahawks, they do a lot of they do a lot of wheeling and dealing during the draft, and they accumulate a lot of 3, 4, and 5, 5th round picks, so they can get added depth at outside linebacker, free safety, guard. So they do a really good job on accumulating extra picks.
Yeah, if you have a system defense and stuff like that, you get a guy that fits it,
Plug and play, right?
Exactly.
So I'm looking at round 2, and they have the Giants taking this guy, Austin Bryant, out of Clemson, right?
Yes.
And I don't know anything about the guy, so I can't speak intelligently to his game. It says he's a DN at 265. Which would make me feel that, okay, well, then he better be, strong and fast because.
Well, if he was elite, he wouldn't be in the second round.
Oh, exactly. Okay, so that's kind of where I was going. All right,
he's a good player.
He's a good player, but then, as I scroll down, it says, draft site has projected to be undrafted. This, then I go a little bit lower, and it says. Strengths, ideal size and length for the position, does a great job setting the edge. Weakness, not overly athletic. I don't know if the Giants can afford to have any more unathletic defensive ends.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, come on, people.
And there's I was looking at, what's his name? Charlie Camp, Walter Football.
Yeah.
Which is another side I like. And he's not always correct. I mean, he has the right guys being picked in the first round. He just doesn't have them going to the right teams.
Okay.
So, of course, he has Nick Bosa going 1 to Arizona, which I think Arizona is going to end up trading out. If you're not going to take a defensive end first. I mean, if you can get a couple of picks for it, you get it.
Didn't they just sign on with an offensive head coach?
Cliff Kingsbury is their coach now.
Right, and isn't he an offensive-minded guy?
Yeah, he was a quarterback. I mean,
exactly. So there's no shot he comes out of the gate drafting a defensive player.
No. That's an organization that doesn't appear to know which direction they want to go. They had a head coach for 1 year. They fired him, Steve Wilkes. They didn't even give the guy the benefit of the doubt. They just showed him the door.
Yeah, that was a bad move. I mean, I know there's a lot of pressure to win, but you got to and he's got a rookie quarterback. You got to give the poor guy a chance.
Yeah, a rookie quarterback that wasn't well protected.
Yeah, I
Josh
just
Rosen, yeah.
I'm not quite. I mean, I don't know. It's all. I mean, in a perfect world, the Giants can get a defensive pass rusher, whether it's Bosa or Allen. I actually it's interesting. They have speaking of we were talking about the Vikings off air. They have the guy that I'd like in the first round. There looks like this the draftsite.com has Jonah Williams from Alabama 6'5", 301 going to the Vikings.
Yeah, what pick is that?
18.
Yeah, see, we have him going in the top 10, and they have him going in the top 20.
Yep. Yeah, I'm surprised about that.
Because he's sort of like a turnkey guy, comes right in, plays, plug and play.
Yeah, they have Greg Little from Mississippi
Yeah.
going in front of him to Buffalo.
Yeah.
And being the first offensive tackle off the board.
That's possible. The combine hasn't happened yet. The combine tells you a lot. It doesn't tell you everything because the game is still football, but it gives you an idea of how big some of these guys are, how well they can move, how strong they are, what kind of dexterity they have. Like a 40-yard dash for a lineman, an offensive lineman. I don't care about that.
No, it's the shuttle drill. How does he move laterally?
Exactly. Because
how does he move
remember Brian Bulaga, he's with the Packers?
Yeah, remember him well.
He's a funny guy. So I said to him one year, right before the draft, when he was drafted by the Packers, somebody was saying something about his 40 time. And I said, well, what was your 40 time? And he says, what's the difference? And I said, yeah, you're right. He says, well, he told me his favorite player, his idol, was Jerry Rice.
Funny.
So I said, so you like to run? He says, I wish I could run. He says, let me tell you something. If I'm in a game and I have to run 40 yards, either something very good or something very bad just happened. I said, good point.
Yeah.
He reminded me of like Jim Belushi, this guy. He's got that kind of a face.
Oh, it's funny. Yeah, because he's right, though. How do they move vertically? How do they move horizontally? You know
how the 40-yard dash came into play?
No.
As a determinant of how to draft players and select players. Paul Brown did it. And that's the distance between the football or the two lines on a kickoff.
Oh, how about that?
Or was at the time, 40 yards.
All right.
How fast can you get to the other guy on a kickoff and block?
Makes a lot of sense.
Who would think of that except for Paul Brown?
Right. Well, yeah, the grandfather of football.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed that jumps out at me here is that Jacksonville is seventh, and them taking Daniel Jones from Duke, and I want to like Jones a lot too, but
the Duke part, we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean it's the dark ages. Those years.
How about Zion Williamson? I'll take him. You know who he is? The basketball player?
I was going to say, I might be the wrong sport, but if he can rush the passer, I'll take him.
Yeah, if he could play a little football, we'll take him. He can do everything else.
Well, if you had your way, who do you want at 6? You got a special player that you just really want to see them get?
No, I don't, because I don't know what's going to happen. See, it happens every year. Somebody trades up. Somebody trades in front of you and changes the whole draft, like the Jets did last year. They went from 6 to 3. They changed the whole draft.
And right now, I would say Washington, Miami, and Denver have probably the best, the highest chances of moving up.
Yes, and I would always count Denver in there.
Yeah, that's what I said. Washington.
Oh, Denver, yeah.
Yeah, Washington, Miami, and Denver all will be players for something. Those franchises need big-time playmakers. I could see them trying to move up.
Yeah. Washington, we don't know if either one of those guys is ever going to come back and play. The quarterbacks.
Exactly. That's why
Smith could be finished.
That's why. Well, I
hate to say it, but
No, he's a great guy. My old boss used to tell me, California guy, knew him, but it was a good guy. I wish him nothing the best, but he's most likely done. That's not an injury you come back from, Washington's going to need a quarterback. They might be in line to move up with some of these teams like Oakland or the Jets because, you never know. Haskins may be a pick for Washington.
Yeah. Somebody could definitely leapfrog the Giants and take him. And I think that's what they were talking about today on Twitter. A lot of the beat writers were talking about it today. That, this guy's hot. He's a hot commodity right now. And you know how this league is when it comes to rumors and hot commodities.
Shiny nickel syndrome.
They overpay.
Yep.
So don't overpay in the draft, ever. The Bears did it, I think, with Trubisky. Not that he's a bad player, or I think he's going to be a pretty good player, but they only moved up one spot, and look what they gave up. I think with San Francisco, they flipped, and I think they gave him like 2 or 3 other draft picks.
He's the only guy in the NFL that only started 1 year right now.
And the irony of that whole thing is I don't think the 49ers were going to take him.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right? They weren't going to take him. So they really played the Bears there. So to me, if they draft Haskins, you'll have to live with it. But then again, I would like to get some people, like if he's going to build the team from the inside out, let's get some people on the lines.
So I'm going to change gears on you.
Please.
Because I need a true expert's opinion on this. And by that I'm deferring to you.
Oh, I was just about to call in a third party.
Well, listen, in this case of the Giants guys, you are the resident expert, okay?
Okay, I'll accept.
All right, here we go. So, I am not a big pro football focused guy. But I know a lot of franchises use it. I know a lot of draft, experts use it. I know, every armchair quarterback on Twitter uses it. They love pro football focus. Now, I'm not going to go into the reasons why I don't like it, but I'm going to bring up something that happened yesterday, and I want to get your opinion. So the conversation, which seems to be on a regular basis, is about Olivier Vernon, his contract, if he stays or he goes, and if he's worth it, and so forth, right? So, which was quite interesting. There is a tweet out from a guy from Pro Football Focus. He'll remain nameless. Says, I don't understand all the Olivier Vernon hate. The guy had 8 sacks. And I forget, I'll look it up in a second. How many? 8 sacks, this many, hurries and pressures. And I don't understand why all the hate. So I'm looking at the number, John, and it says 8 sacks. Okay. And right. I'm almost positive that that's an error. So I look it up and it's clearly, I go to multiple sources that Olivier Vernon had 7 sacks. In fact, he had 2.5 sacks against Dallas. Up to week 15, he had 4 sacks.
Correct.
Okay, so at that point, 4.5 sacks plus 2.5 sacks gave him 7 sacks.
Thank you.
So I responded to the tweet and said, I'm confused on your take here because you're supposed to live in a metric, analytical, data world. How can you get this guy's sack total wrong? And then I said he also averages 3 tackles a game. And I'll repeat, he averages 3 tackles a game and gets paid $1 million per game. His contract at $85 million over 5 years gets divided out evenly, prorated across 5 years. $1 million a game for 3 tackles. And the gentleman from Pro Football Focus, who's probably a really nice guy, sends me back a tweet that says, here at Pro Football Focus, we consider half sacks full sacks. Now, excuse me, that to me completely blows my doors off, because there is no such thing. A half a sack is a half a sack. Two guys contribute to a sack, it's each a half. Or they each get a full sack, but they don't. The stat with the NFL, college, wherever you go, a half a sack is a half a sack. Like $5 is $5, not 10.
Correct.
So now I'm thinking, this is complete BS. Are you telling me that they've decided that all half sacks are really full sacks? So all these, these guys out there that you read, well, so that would mean if he had 10 half sacks, he really had 20 sacks? So how much credibility does this whole system have?
Let me get to Pro Football Focus right now.
Jump in, because I got to tell you, it made my head spin.
If somebody can explain to me what their grading system consists of, I might be able to understand it. Nobody understands it. People around the internet are quoting Pro Football Focus. This guy had a 79.2 grade. Okay, what does that mean? It's some long algorithm that they use. There's all kinds of factors that are factored in. Nobody really knows what it means.
John, if I pay my electric bill half, they'll turn my lights off.
That's true.
So why on God's green earth does anyone give them validity to say, no, we've decided that a half sack is a full sack? I mean, it makes no sense. It throws all their credibility out the window.
I don't like that whole thing either. Let me tell you something. I don't really buy into a lot of Pro Football Focus stuff. I understand they're trying to revolutionize the way the game is watched and the way statistics are factored into everything, but nobody understands what they mean.
Well, they work hard, and I'm sure it makes sense to them.
Just like positional value. What does that mean?
I just don't understand rewriting something as simple as, I understand, like you said, we don't understand it, or maybe their methods, or their home cooked meal.
So if a half a sack is a full sack, what other statistics are they fudging?
Exactly. Now, and I'm not saying they are fudging it. I'm only saying I don't understand why
they're rounding up.
Rewriting. Yeah, and so can I round a $5 bill to a $10 bill?
If you're lucky, yeah.
I mean, I don't get it. It doesn't make so all
is
these
a rushing touchdown count more than a receiving touchdown, or?
Yeah, all of a sudden, so
is this fantasy football now?
So why do we kick extra points? Maybe we should just make a touchdown 7 points.
Yeah, is this fantasy? What's to do with fantasy football?
I don't get it. I mean, two guys arrive at the quarterback.
And they both get the sack.
They both get full sacks?
Yeah.
How is that possible? I mean, a sack is an exclusive execution by one guy.
I agree. I mean, you win. I've had this problem with Pro Football Focus. This is one of the many problems I've had. They're great offensive lines, they're great secondaries, and I'm like, these teams are getting killed. How can you give them a great grade?
And again, I mean, great company. They've done a great job. They've come really far. I just want to know why they have to do that. Because they can? Because I don't see rewriting the NFL.
That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense.
That's what rubbed me yesterday. That
was your pet peeve of the week.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not just because now I think about all these guys that have blown up sack numbers aren't real, or guys that should be getting credit don't. So now I'm thinking if you rush for 1,000 yards, is it really 2,000 yards? What is it really? If you're allowed to manipulate
bonuses, yeah.
Yeah. Think about it. One thing in this world is true, and it's math. Right? It's numbers are numbers. They're definitive. You just took something that's definitive and changed it.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. If I'm an expert, I'm not a good one because I can't really answer to that.
All right, I'm just making sure I'm not crazy because I'm sure their rationale makes sense, but for the, the whatever the 25 characters that I got through over Twitter,
Yeah, but if people are going to pay players based on their ratings,
there you go.
okay, we need to know what they mean. We need to know what these numbers represent.
Like there should be a benchmark. Like, the benchmark for a defensive tackle is 7 sacks. The benchmark for an outside linebacker defensive end, the benchmark's 12 sacks. Well, is he really getting 12 sacks or does he really have 6? And you just doubled it.
Hey, when it comes to statistics in the 21st century, I have huge problems with the way baseball is doing their statistics now, the way football is doing it. I can't understand the NBA statistics anymore. I try to do I play fantasy basketball. Okay,
You're a sick man.
I can't figure out some of these statistics. It goes beyond what we grew up watching. And I think that they like to do it because they think it adds to the game or you're able to analyze the game better, and I don't think that's true. I think it just confuses everybody.
Yeah, well, it makes something that's not very important overblown and very important.
It makes them important, the people who are creating these statistical reports.
Well, I've already told you on numerous occasions, I think pressures is the biggest joke I've ever heard. Because when the ball is snapped and you take one step over the line of scrimmage, you are, quote unquote, pressuring the quarterback.
Yeah.
You are moving in the direction with the guy with the ball.
Right.
So
it's a very
I don't want to hear about
subjective statistic. Very subjective.
I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy.
No, you're not.
Or I am crazy and I just, all those concussions have caught up to me.
Yes. That's a very good possibility. All right, let's talk about this week's NFL games.
Dun, dun, dun. Playoffs.
Saturday has the Colts visiting the Chiefs. And the spread is Kansas City given 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
And the over-under is 57.
It's a 4:35 p.m. game.
That's correct. And that'll be Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, which is always fun.
Tough game. Very tough game.
Now, Kansas City, right? Let's lay the groundwork. Kansas City was world beaters beginning of the year. Then they lost Kareem Hunt. And their offense isn't so much balanced anymore.
Nope. It's Kelsey heavy.
Right. And the Colts, all their rookies and free agents are kicking in now. Their offensive line is protecting Andrew Luck.
One of the hottest teams in football because they've got a nice winning streak going.
And their defense is playing well. So who do you like in this game?
So originally I would tell you that I liked the Chiefs. The momentum was on their side. But I will say that living in the Philadelphia region, I've seen Andy Reid choke a lot of playoff games away.
And he's done it in Kansas City, too.
Yeah, so I'm believe it or not, maybe I'm in the minority, but I'm leaning on the Colts. On the momentum of Andrew Luck, Quentin Nelson, that crazy great linebacker that they have that's everywhere on the field.
No, that's Leonard you're thinking of. Nelson's the offensive lineman.
No, I'm saying with Nelson, like you were saying, rookies kicking in.
Oh, yeah,
with Nelson kicking in and protecting Luck like he is, like Andrew Luck's on fire, but the linebacker just stands out far and above, anything that I've seen Indianapolis have in a long time. Back to Dwight Freeney, and I could see the Colts pulling it off, and maybe Andy Reid continuing down the path of not calling a good playoff game. He has a habit of really kind of bonking in the playoffs, so they're a little one-dimensional right now, the Chiefs, like you mentioned on the running game side.
Yeah. Well, they do have this kid, Damian Williams, who's been running the ball pretty well. But, the Colts, in my opinion, I think the Colts are a very well-coached team. I think the Chiefs are a well-coached team. But I think the Colts are more balanced. I think they'll be able to run the ball with Ball and Mack, the kid who's a very good running back. And Andrew Luck, if you ask me who I would take at quarterback if I was starting a team today, it would be Andrew Luck.
That's a tough call because
It would not be Mahomes. It would be Luck.
He's good. He really is. That's a tough call, Andrew Luck over Mahomes, because you don't have a big body of work from Mahomes. But here's the wild card for me. I like the Colts. I think the experience may go to Andy Reid, even though he doesn't call a great playoff game. I think if I had to, gun to my head, make a choice, the edge may go to Kansas City because they're playing outdoors in Kansas City, and the Colts are an indoor turf team.
Yes. Okay. I can see that.
I may go Chiefs by a field goal.
Okay. Next game. I like the Colts. So if I was going to bet this game, I'd take the points, the 5.5 points.
Okay, that I would do. If you're going point spread, I would do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Dallas at the Rams is the next game. The Rams are laying 7. The over-under is 49.5.
Rams win by 7.
You think the Rams win by 7?
Yep.
Why?
I don't.
I'm just asking you a question. Why?
Yeah, after watching the Giants play the Cowboys, I just don't think the Cowboys are a good team. I think the Rams are, they've got to bounce back a little bit from their recent, woes, and they're kind of lost a little steam there at the end of the season. That's
because Gurley was hurt.
Yep. I think the Rams are at home, got a lot to prove. I think McVay is going to learn from the mistakes the last couple of weeks. I just can't see the Cowboys, beating the Rams, especially after what I saw them playing the Giants. The Giants aren't a good team, folks. The Giants are not a good team. And if the Cowboys were a really good team, they should have stomped the Giants. And it just didn't happen. And I just think if the Giants played the Rams would win by 40.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. Let me give you my 2 cents on this. I think the Cowboys defense is going to play a good game here. I think the Rams have been kind of fading the last couple of weeks. I think the shine is off the apple with them. If Gurley isn't 100%, they could be in trouble here. This is going to be a close game. And, it may come down to a field goal. So if I was going to bet this game, I'd take the points in this game too. I think the Cowboys will be able to run the football against the Rams with Elliott. And I think Prescott could make just enough plays to keep it close. Like the Cowboys are, we'll see. I don't think the Rams with Goff. Goff has shown that he's human. And, he has the propensity to turn the football over on occasion, although he's better at home. And since they're the home team, I like them in this game, but I think I would take the points here.
What's the points? 5, you said?
7.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, it's a tough cover. I think the Rams win. I think they win by 6 or 7. I don't know if they cover.
All right, so let's see if the Rams can actually live up to their billing. I don't know. They haven't been playing well, so we'll see. But the Cowboys, like you said, they're traveling. They're out of their element too, so that could play a factor.
And the Rams defense is rated 19th. They're like the middle of the pack. Hello.
Yeah, that's my
the bat phone.
Yeah, whoever. I don't know who that is.
It's an agent calling you for an interview.
I don't think so. I get a lot of robocalls, and I don't know why, because I'm on the do not call registry. I guess that doesn't mean anything.
Check your phone. It's probably Mike Tomlin calling you. He wants to give you an interview.
I'll interview Mike. I've got some questions for him. Like, why aren't you in the playoffs?
Yeah. Why is AB
How the hell did you not make the playoffs?
Why is your quarterback fighting with your wide receiver?
Yeah. And they have a running back that sat out the whole year, although they really didn't miss him.
No, I didn't miss him at all. What difference would he have made?
Well, Connor played very well.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Yeah, the kid from Pitt, good running back. And
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell will end up on the Jets.
Oh,
He'll
another
end up
headache.
on the Jets. Mike McCarthy. Why the Jets won't hire Mike McCarthy? They're still looking for somebody else. I don't know who they're looking for.
Did they actually turn him down for the job? Did McCarthy not get the job?
Well, I think that's the only team he's going to interview with.
Really? He wants to come to the big city, huh?
Well, he didn't want the Browns. The Browns hired another guy, Freddie Kitchens, their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that was the right move. Promote the guy who Baker Mayfield likes.
Yes. Now, was Freddie Kitchens, you could look this up, the quarterback at Alabama when Mike Shula was the coach?
All right, hang on.
Because he was the quarterback at Alabama. I just want to put the years together.
Let's see. Formerly, he coached in Arizona, Dallas, Mississippi.
Right, but he was the quarterback of Alabama in the 90s, I think.
That's what I'm looking up now. Give me 30 seconds here for Mr. Kitchens. He's 44 years old. Was a quarterback for Alabama from 93 to 97.
Okay.
Let's see. Played in the Gator Bowl, Citrus Bowl, and the Outback Bowl.
Yes, he was like the starter for a couple of years.
Yep.
I remember him.
See. Tight ends coach, quarterback coach. I mean, he's coached on a bunch of teams. He's got a good resume.
What about Mike Shula? Was Mike Shula his head coach at Alabama, though?
All right, hang on. So let's see. So he was there from 93 to 97. Let's see, 93 to 97. Alabama.
Yeah, that's my question. I would look it up, but I'm extremely lazy today.
I'm looking it up. I'm looking list of Alabama Crimson Tide head coaches. All right.
Yep.
All right, I'm getting there. I'm working on it.
Ray Perkins.
All right. So what year are you looking for?
90s.
90s. Okay. So from 87 to 89, it was Bill Curry. From 90 to 96, it was Gene Stallings.
Gene Stallings.
From 97 to 2000, it was Mike DuBois.
Mike DuBois, yeah.
From 2001 to 2002, it was Dennis Franconi.
Right.
Franconi. 2003, Mike Price. 2003 to 2006, Mike Shula.
Oh, so Shula was in there in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
After Freddie Kitchens.
Oh, way past Freddie Kitchens. Okay.
Yep, and then 2006 was Joe Kynes, and then, of course, Nick Saban for the last 12 years.
Yes, we know how that's gone. Yeah, Gene Stallings. I forgot about him. He was a player when I was a kid. Played, I think he played for the Cardinals and maybe the Cowboys at one point. He was a lineman.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some stats. I mean, he looked like he was a decent. He was Kitchen was a decent QB. I mean, I think.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah.
Baker Mayfield will probably like that they kept it in house.
Yes, he did a good job there, and I think that's a good fit. The Browns don't know what they're doing, so maybe they'll get lucky with this guy.
Do you think that I'm assuming that why we're not talking about it because you don't think it's going to happen is you don't think the Giants would replace Mike Shula, do you?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he doesn't call the plays, so to me he's an offensive coordinator with no teeth.
Yeah, because I'm not a fan, and I'd really like to get one of these young studs, from college.
If they're going to call the plays.
I'm sorry?
Pat Shermer is going to call the plays.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with choice.
What is the offensive coordinator going to do other than organize the game for him and get all the units together?
So
anybody can do that.
You're right, but I don't think Shula does a good job. The game plan's always so pedestrian.
But the game plan comes from him and Pat Shermer, so it's a joint effort.
Yeah, no doubt. I just not a fan of Shula. Would just like Shula was forced on Shermer.
Well,
He wanted.
Kevin Stefanski was the
Yep.
offensive coordinator at Minnesota now. I think is he interviewing for head coaching jobs?
I'm not sure. I would love for Shermer to get the guy he wants.
Yeah, but that's the guy he wanted last year, and he couldn't get him because the Vikings wouldn't let him go.
Agreed.
And now he's in the same position with the Vikings, and he's looking at head coaching positions, but I forget who he was interviewing with, but he's not going to come to the Giants to take just a coordinator position if he's interviewing for head coaching jobs.
Agreed. I just not a fan of Mike Shula at any level.
No, I think he's a little laid back, and like I said, he's okay with. He seems to be like one of those coaches that's okay with losing.
Yeah.
Even though he's not. I mean, he's Don Shula's son. I get it, but it just seems like if we lose, well, there's always next week.
I want a guy who creates a plan that once you put your foot on the pedal, you don't take your foot off their throat and you just go for it. I hate that old concept of the Giants play.
You want Sean Payton?
Yeah. Well, we had Sean Payton. We let him go. I want a philosophy of we're playing to win, not playing not to lose.
Yeah. And when you're playing a game, if you're winning, you want to stay winning. You want to keep winning. You don't want to give the other team a chance to come back.
All right, so what do you got here on this next game? Chargers Patriots. I have nowhere to go with this game. I have no opinion because
all right, let's read the stats first. It's
Yep.
Patriots at home, laying 4 points. 47 is the over-under. According to oddshark.com, 59% of the money that's coming in is coming in on the Chargers. So that's a lot. Considering Phillip Rivers has never beaten the Patriots. I think he's 0 for 7.
1 o'clock game in New England. I mean, not an easy place to win.
I think about the Patriots all the time. And I'm like, how do they, people keep calling me, how do they win? If you look at their roster, you're like, if those guys were on other teams, they wouldn't be doing much, right? A lot of those guys.
Yep, agreed.
The Gronkowski can't even run anymore. So how do they win? And this is how they do it. Every week, they prepare for the team they're going to play. They don't go into a game saying, this is what we do. We pass this, we run here, we play this kind of defense. No. We're going to do whatever we can to stop this other team from doing what they do best, and we're going to exploit them on defense. We're going to do just what we need to do. If we need to pass, we're going to pass. If we need to run, we're going to run. So he prepares, it's like an a la carte, ad hoc game plan every week. He's been doing it his whole career, Bill Belichick. And other coaches don't do that. They're too structured. Well, this is what we do. We run this, we do that. We have to give this guy the ball and get that guy the ball. He doesn't care about that. If you ever play fantasy football, you can't take any Patriots. Because one guy, James White, will get 200 yards one week, and the next week he won't touch the football.
Exactly, because he doesn't fit in the game plan for that next week.
Right. And all of a sudden, Sony Michel's got the ball. Edelman, Hogan, this guy, that guy. You're like, wait a minute. So you can't predict what they're going to do because they don't know what they're going to do yet. So you can't prepare for them, but they're over-prepared for you.
Yep, and it's a winning formula. It works. That's why it's the stupidity of the NFL on, like you just mentioned, this is what we do. We're going to jam down their throat what we do.
That's right.
I'm like, no. How about just beat them at their weakness? How about that?
Like if you're a boxer and you open a cut over the other guy's eye,
I'm going to pound that cut till you can't see anymore.
You work the cut. And that's what he does. And nobody seems to get this. Every week, the Patriots, this guy's hurt. It doesn't matter who's hurt. You could take 10 drunks out of the parking lot, put them out there with Brady, and just tell him what you want him to do, and he'll get it done.
Yeah, in high school, we used to say, run that play until they stop it.
Right. Right. And it's boring.
But it wins.
But boring wins. In the NFL, boring wins.
For the most part, yes. You have a handful of teams like throwing the ball to Kelsey 20 times a game is not boring because he's entertaining, or throwing a rock down the field to Antonio Brown is not boring. But for the most part,
Yeah, but where are they? Antonio Brown is home. Odell Beckham is home.
Yep.
Right? Julio Jones is home.
Yep.
They're all home. So in this game, I like the Patriots because what do the Chargers do well? Melvin Gordon, they'll stop him. They'll make sure they stop him. They'll make Rivers beat them, and they'll find a way to contain him too. And then on offense, they'll find some way to score points. It's just mind-boggling. The Patriots are mind-boggling. I don't know how they do it. If you look at their roster, you're like, you got to be kidding me. This team is 12-4, or whatever they are.
Yep, he's made a
Every
living
year?
He's made a living out of making lemons into lemonade.
Oh my God! All right, let's go on to your favorite team now. The Eagles are getting 8 points in New Orleans, the place where they got absolutely disemboweled this year. They got embarrassed down there, but that was before Foles took over. So, the Magic Man.
Yeah. What's the points again?
8.
Oh, 8.
8's a tough number because it's
that's
more than a
2
touchdown. Yeah.
Exactly. That's 2 scores.
Yeah, you need a 2-point conversion.
Or a 2-point conversion, yeah. I mean, the Saints have felt like, even though at the end of the year they kind of slowed down a little bit and put Teddy Bridgewater in there.
Yeah. Going to the Hall of Fame, according to Giant fans. According to Giant tweeters, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you're all the Giants fans out there listening to the podcast are like, that Fennelly doesn't know what he's talking about. Teddy Bridgewater's the guy. No, people, he's not the guy.
Yeah, go ahead, trade for him. Go ahead, put him out there. See if he doesn't get booed right out of Patterson.
Oh man, yeah, it's not going to happen. The Saints are going to beat the Eagles. I think they're a team of destiny. Kamara's a great player. Ingram's a great, 1-2 punch.
Yep, it's a good combination.
And Breeze is still Breeze, and their defense finally has got some moxie. Saints are playing at home. Eagles are banged up. I mean, again, I'm sure Foles will have a little bit of magic in him, but I don't think Eagles fans expect them to beat the Saints either. Well,
they shouldn't have won last week's game.
No, well, that's a whole nother story. Yeah, that's a field goal away, right?
Yeah, I mean the guy hits the upright, then it hits the crossbar and bounces the wrong way. Now, if he was kicking against the Giants, that would have hit the upright, hit the crossbar, and bounced for a field goal. It would have went the other way.
Of course.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah, the Giants have walked under 100 ladders and crossed 100 black cats paths or whatever it is. Yeah. So I'd like to say that the Saints could cover after thinking back to the first game. Because if Breeze gets hot, which he starts a little slow, usually the Saints are down by a touchdown or 10 points, and then he just goes into overdrive and he just starts pumping that ball downfield. I could see the Saints. I could see the Saints winning by 9.
Okay, I don't think this will be a blowout like the first one was.
No,
because I think the Eagles are a little healthier. I think their secondary is playing much better than it was. I like the fact that Foles is playing instead of Wentz. He doesn't make the mistakes that Wentz does. Wentz has the tendency to turn the ball over a little bit, as we know. Foles is a little cleaner. But the thing I don't like about the Saints is they don't really have a tight end. And it's either wide receivers or running backs who get the ball. And I think if they had a tight end, they could crack the Eagles' defense a little bit. And they don't have that. So I'm going to take the points in this game for some reason. I'm taking the points in every game except for the New England game. I like the Eagles in this game because nobody else does. And the way they stopped the Bears last week, and the way the Saints have not been explosive the last month, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. I still think the Saints will win, but I don't think they'll cover the nut. And that's what I have to say about that. That's it. I don't want to expound the virtues of that. But is there anything else you'd like to talk about? I'm getting...
No, I mean, it's like you mentioned, it's a little bit of the slow time until free agency kicks in and the draft kicks in. So, just interesting to see who stays and who goes and franchise
That'll be for
tag.
the next show, yeah.
Yep. So, this half of the Giants guys is very content with where we're at right now.
Yeah, I could use a break, man. Really.
Breaks are good. Maybe Caribbean vacation or two.
I wish. If you could go anywhere in the Caribbean, where would you go?
Turks and Caicos.
Why does everybody say that?
Because it's
Bart's. That's the other one.
Turks and Caicos. I've been there twice, and you just can't replicate it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I know have been there. I've never been there. I used to go to Jamaica, and I used to love Jamaica. I don't know why. I just like the music. I like the culture. I like the amenities.
I've been some places like you said. I've been some places, and I can't find anything that, I've been in Bahamas and Hawaii and St. Thomas. Just Turks and Caicos is still by far the best.
In Jamaica, I like the holistic and organic amenities that grow on that island.
I'm sure you do. Sure you do.
There's not an air conditioner in the whole place. I don't know if you know that.
No, it's all breeze, right?
Yeah, well, you better hope. And you hope it's not too big of a breeze either, because that's a problem too. It's called a hurricane.
Well, I think Saquon Barkley said that he wasn't going on a vacation because he was ready to start training.
Really?
There was something.
His legs are a little skinny. He's got to build those legs up.
I did see him courtside, I think, at the Knicks game the other night.
Yeah, maybe he should have been in the Knicks game.
Yeah, exactly.
Can he play basketball?
I'm sure he can. I don't know if he could, Yeah, you're right. He probably could make the Knicks team.
Well, Charlie Ward did.
Yeah, that's another story. So, let's see. So you're listening to the Giants guys. You can check us out on Podbean and iTunes and Spotify and
Stitcher.
GiantsGuys.com.
We just signed up for Pandora.
So download it and pass on the word. We've got some good content out of NY Giants Rush. We got some quarterback stories up there. I'm going to put a Haskins story up there probably later tonight.
Right.
We've got our last Monday Morning Manning is up there that recaps the season. And I had a little powwow with the staff yesterday. So we're going to try to, we'll slow down a little bit. But, as you know, John, Michael Stewart loves the draft stuff, so he's ready to go.
The Senior Bowl's coming up. It's the 22nd. Is that the Senior Bowl already?
Yes. Yep. Senior Bowl.
The 22nd and then there'll be the Blue-Gray game, the North-South game, whatever. Then there'll be the Combine, late February. So then, of course, free agency, and that gets crazy, and then the draft.
And there we go. And then we can put all these rumors to bed.
And then June, we'll go to Turks and Caicos.
Exactly. No, but I don't know if I
July or whatever. July. It's too hot down there.
It's probably way too hot.
Right.
Yeah. Senior Bowl is January 26th. It's a 2:30 game, so it's during the day. And the location is in Mobile, Alabama.
As usual, yes. That's where it always is.
That's all I got.
All right, so we're out. Until next time, this is the Giants, guys. Thanks for listening.